Hello, everybody. Welcome back to Level 1 News. Today is December 15th, and today we are doing business and social. Also, did the cat come so we can see him, or is he still just staring at you?
No, he's behind me on the couch, but you guys are probably too cropped.
Yeah. Yeah, we
Yeah,
can't
we
see
can't
him.
see him.
He's
It's
back there. He's
fine.
meowing. Discord mutes the meows. He's meowing hard back there.
Meow.
You know who else is meowing hard after their court case?
Apple won't have to make the App Store changes ordered in Epic ruling while case is appealed.
So this was pretty crappy. Apple got all the press by saying, "Hey, we're going to let app developers, have a link so they can charge their own money." And then in the 11th hour, they freaked out and said, "Oh, wait a minute, we went to implement this, but gosh darn it, it's so much work to implement this because we're going to have to audit third-party payment processors to make sure people don't get scammed." It's like, wait a minute, that's not how that works at all, Apple. You're being disingenuous. Really surprised that Epic didn't file a ruling saying to the court, "Hey, payment processing doesn't work the way that Apple says it does in their filing. This is stupid. You should stop doing this."
Will Apple just appeal this indefinitely, like over and over and over again, because then they don't have to implement it?
Yeah, pretty much.
Easy.
I think Apple's saying one thing, and then when it comes time, actually doing something different is a bit of a theme this week.
Surprise!
I really look forward to all of the comments that are from the Apple apologists that are, no, Tim Cook didn't negotiate with, directly with used kidneys in the whole, China deal thing. He's always looking out for people's best interests. These cases show that that's not the case.
I bet Tim Cook has got like 4 different possible matches on deck if he ever needs a kidney.
I think that he's got to have the writing on the wall. I think he's going to get out. I think he's going to try to retire sooner rather than later, especially if he can find his replacement and if he has the opportunity to go quietly without upsetting all of the powerful people around him. I think he's absolutely going to do that.
Do you think those kind of people think about retirement in the way that we do?
I think that he is, because he's kind of painted into a corner. He's like, where do I have to go from here? I've got $1 trillion or $2 trillion company. It's only downhill from here because there's only so many kidneys you can harvest before it really starts to get to you.
You can only be the top mobile
You know where
phone
I would
maker
love to
in
see him
so many
go?
markets.
Into one of those Icelandic pods.
From the last episode. Well, I'm sure that there's a lot of people in the advertising industry that feel the same way.
Apple reaches quiet truce over iPhone privacy changes.
This is, again, like the Facebook tracking and some of the ad revenue stuff. They've really relaxed what is allowed after freaking everybody out. So, again, they got that press high, and everybody's got the feel good, oh, Apple's protected my privacy. And materially, not so much.
Kind of just gave in.
Yeah. I think there were a lot of companies that were probably threatening with the whole antitrust thing. And, this Epic case could have gone a different way. If in 10 years, I think that companies like Facebook and Google could chip away at that. But ultimately, Apple's in the business for the same reasons. So Apple's ad business got to so much better so quickly that it is suspicious, if you think. So, I don't know. This seems like self-preservation as much as anything. Oh, and we had an Amazon outage this week.
That was the big story this week. Everyone freaked out.
That was a lot of fun. It was only U.S. East, but everybody only puts their stuff in U.S. East, so it was sort of a big outage.
An Amazon server outage caused problems for Alexa, Ring, Disney Plus, and deliveries.
Also, Roomba. You can't vacuum your house
Yeah, a lot
without
of people
AWS.
were upset by that. They're like, my Roomba's not working. I find it funny how many people personify the Roomba.
Yeah.
Like, it's like your pet died. They're like, he's not working. Resuscitate him, doctor.
How insane is it that, it's like we're going to get into the future and it would be like, oh, my tractor doesn't work anymore because Tesla's weather station is down. I was like, what? I was like, yeah, in New York, Tesla had this amazing lab facility with a thing and your tractor would work better depending on what the weather was.
I was going to
What?
harvest my crops, but, they were seeding some clouds over here, and now I can't because it's raining all the time.
Yeah, they bulldozed his lab to make room for a subdivision about 30, 40 years ago, so that tractor hasn't worked in forever. That's basically where we're headed.
Headed.
Yeah, we're kind of already there.
What if Jeff Bezos, for whatever reason, like dementia or whatever, he was just like, turn it all off.
And
They don't
like,
deserve it.
he's surrounded himself with so many yes men that they don't even question it. They're like, okay.
My other favorite thing that was out was the McDonald's self-ordering kiosks. The kiosks were still working, but all the pictures of all of the stuff,
They didn't load.
it apparently comes from like an S3 bucket or something. How insane is that they don't even have like the local menu pictures, and they just never planned on Amazon being down? Maybe you would think that that would be cached or something. The ordering kiosk maybe doesn't need to download the picture of the milkshake every single time.
Well, what if they update it?
It could update it in like an hour or 2 or 5.
Unacceptable.
Or not update it if it's down. It's like, hey, I tried to get to Amazon for the new milkshake pictures, but Amazon was down, so I should just delete them all.
Surely you could
We
set it up so there's a
determined that the
fallback.
number of sesame seeds on the Big Mac picture makes people uneasy, so we've removed one, and it must be pushed immediately.
That is the kind of like insanity that we deal with marketing places.
Engagement challenge. Leave a comment below if you've experienced that, because a lot of you probably have. Oh, speaking of deja vu,
Amazon worker union in Alabama will hold new vote after claims of illegal misconduct.
so this was the first Amazon warehouse to try to unionize, and the finding of illegality here is mainly around a post box. Amazon put a post box, a U.S. Postal Service post box, for the workers to vote, but this thing said they did it in such a way that it seemed like to the workers that Amazon was involved somehow in the unionization process and was watching them.
Yeah,
keeping
it was
an
like
eye
a
on them.
branded mailbox. So they were like, oh, this is an Amazon box. Like they're going to be checking this.
Yeah. So I don't know. I think that
There was I saw a new headline right before we started doing this. At least one shop voted yes.
what?
Like one of the shops that was voting
One of
on
the
them.
Amazon shops, one of the warehouses voted yes.
Oh, other than the one in Alabama?
I don't know if it was the one in Alabama or not, but I think maybe there was more than one in Alabama.
Oh, maybe. Well, that would be news because they said none of them voted yes before.
Oh, weird.
Well, it
Not
hadn't
when you
happened
start
yet,
having
right?
it.
This was the recount.
Oh, interesting. Starbucks also unionized recently, and that was really, really interesting. I don't think we have a story on the Starbucks one, but that'll be next week because that's a developing story. Speaking of things handled poorly,
Ugh, this was terrible. Better.com CEO fires 900 employees over Zoom. And what this headline leaves out, he also, he cries about it.
well, he said that he cried about it the last time he had to do it. So the last time, yeah. So the meeting was like, hey, everybody, welcome. If you're in this meeting, sorry, I've got some bad news. You're fired.
It was very abrupt, at least in this version of it.
That's the meeting. See ya.
He's since apologized.
Yeah. It's like, oh, was that? Did people not like that?
Especially not like right before Christmas. Do they not like?
Eh.
He was like, oh, you'll get a message from HR with your, your severance stuff. But yeah, you're fired. Bye.
Axios claims they have a scoop on this one.
Scoop, over 200 papers quietly sue Big Tech.
This is over the ad stuff. So the ad stuff that came out in another case, like some stuff that was submitted to the federal government, where it said that Google and Facebook sort of worked together to do some stuff on ad prices. Didn't really look too good in that documentation. That is the basis of a couple of hundred lawsuits. They're not all one lawsuit either. They're a bunch of, sort of a death by 1,000 paper cuts kind of a thing.
Yeah, but isn't this just a dead industry trying to not die?
I thought that there's something even darker going on here in that a lot of these papers are actually owned by larger entities. So like where your small regional paper definitely probably suffered.
Your small regional paper is gone.
Yeah,
That
it's
business
on
model is
Facebook.
over.
Yeah, this looks like action by billionaires that are like, hey, we can squeeze some blood from this here.
Yeah, the last of it, the last drops.
So probably won't actually help the newspaper industry, but the newspaper industry, probably could have done better with their ads had this not been going on.
Don't close the pop-up on the next page. It redirects you if you do.
Oh, we don't have a pop-up on here.
It didn't give me a pop-up.
Oh,
The
Interesting.
State Journal one?
Madison.com?
Yeah, no pop-up.
Yeah, I don't have one. Layoffs of 12 Middleton-based Raven Software workers prompt 2 days of walkouts.
The headline should have said Blizzard Activision software company.
Yeah, this is like a subsidiary.
It's like, Raven, who is that? Oh, Blizzard Activision.
Oh.
Now it makes sense. It took the article author a little while to get there.
Yeah, they did mention it.
Yeah,
I think in both
started-
of these last two cases, those anti-work people are getting with these guys now.
Yeah.
Both in the case of Raven and the other one, the papers.
Yeah.
My understanding of this story was like they had some people who were kind of like temporary workers, and they were promised that they were going to get a longer term position, and then they were just like fired abruptly.
Yep.
And people were upset about that because they're like,
Oh, you get the
promised
impression
something.
also that it came down from Activision.
Yeah.
Like this wasn't the Raven guys necessarily. They were told like, oh yeah, you got to cut.
It was the QA testing people, I think.
We don't do stack ranking. You got to get rid of 10% of your staff.
Cut quality control, I guess.
It worked for Microsoft.
Yeah.
Speaking of which,
iDad is almost here. Take a stand against Disney Plus on December 10. I had never heard of this.
so the free
This is,
software. Go ahead.
the timing on this is not great because it's going to be well past December 10th by the time they see it.
Oh, no.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, well. This is the International Day
Against DRM.
against DRM, yeah. And so on Disney Plus, you're supposed to leave a negative review, which Google's going to delete immediately anyway. Don't worry.
And cancel.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, and cancel your subscription.
Joke's on you. I don't have a subscription to Disney Plus. Fighting the good fight every day.
I wonder how the pirates make their voice heard. It's like, I have all the Disney Plus content, and I just want to let you know that as long as you're doing this, I'm never going to pay for it. Something like that. I don't know.
So what you could do instead is you could convince whoever Netflix account you're stealing to cancel that.
I would be fine with that. I don't use Netflix a whole lot either. We have access to it, but
Now, our next story is amazing because there's actually some subtlety and nuance to it.
Reddit users are taking up the cause of Kellogg striking workers.
Now, in case you're not following, Kellogg's did this thing that was pretty genius, but hideously evil.
Yeah, in a horrible sort of way.
So they have a bunch of older employees that have a lot of benefits and are well paid and are very happy to work overtime because you get even more money if you get overtime, or at least so the saying goes. And they started hiring a bunch of new people, but the new people didn't have the same structure as the old people. And so Kellogg's was, I think, kind of hoping that the old people would break with the new people to prevent unionization for even more worker benefits. And the older workers went on strike with the younger workers and blah, blah, blah. So Kellogg's announced they're going to fire 1,400 people that are striking, give or take, and that they're going to have no problem hiring a bunch of replacements. So it turns out that a lot of the people that have applied to be replacements were actually just millennials trolling the job application process, up to and including interviews and doing Zoom calls and be like, yeah, no, that sounds great. I'm going to show up for work on Monday. And then they don't show up.
That's
They
the
have-
anti-work people. They organized it.
They did it, yeah. They did it all online. So where Kellogg's messed up here is they put all their forms online and they're like, this is fine.
Well, even the stuff that they did in person, where they would like interview somebody and do some work and show up and blah blah. They were even talking about it's like maybe you should actually, if you're in the area, go and show up for like 30 minutes or an hour, because then they have an ungodly amount of paperwork because they actually do have to pay you for the 30 minutes or an hour or something like that you're there before you leave. So you end up wasting an ungodly amount of their time.
I don't have the kind of like free time to go do that, but I'm impressed that other people do. And
Well,
they
but
did it.
that also makes you unemployable in that kind of context from then on. And I don't think those people care about it, but they might eventually.
You go on some kind of list that was like, hey, didn't you participate in whatever this thing is that's going on with Kellogg's?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Or even if they don't know that you did that on purpose, they see that you took a job for 30 minutes and walked away.
You just don't put that on your resume.
Yeah, I was going to say, I mean, would they know necessarily?
I guess that's...
If you don't put it on
Although
your
in this
resume.
day and age, I bet
I bet there's a
big
list.
companies are going to have a team. Like the social media team, you know how they search your social media? They're going to have a team that's looking to see if you were involved in anything like this.
I don't think so, because a lot of this kind of stuff, like hiring, is all automated now. It's all bots. They probably have no idea.
Yeah, I can't. I struggle to characterize this as any kind of like negative connotation anti-work. This seems like the most hilarious like Schadenfreude.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. If the anti-work people organized this and pulled it off as well as is described here, not even mad. That's actually genuinely impressive.
Yeah, but you like your shredded wheat, don't you?
I can do without it for a while. It's fine.
Oh, all right.
I haven't even been able to buy it lately, so.
I just don't
What
buy
happens when
cereal.
these people target the Pepsi Corporation or whoever owns Orange Crush?
I mean, maybe we'll go back to like remember when we had like the regional sodas? Maybe we'll go back to that.
There's an orange soda that gets made around here.
Yeah, I mean, it honestly wouldn't be terrible if there's something to replace it. If we're all just sitting around helpless because only the PepsiCo knows how to make soda, that's disappointing.
That's why we have anti-monopoly laws, right? Like, so if one goes down, we're not in a helpless position.
Maybe we'll have food trucks of soda, and it's like, this is Bob's, all he does all day is make this, and I don't even know it turns out shoe polish is in this, but I guess it's not. It's delicious. I don't know.
I only drink locally sourced sugar water.
It's fresh from the springs of Winchester, Kentucky.
What's funny is if this were happening with like alcoholic stuff, there probably are enough craft breweries to substitute in for like the Anheuser-Busch's and that kind of stuff. We have it with alcohol, but we don't have it with real food processing, which really says something about our priorities, I think.
There is local food area, but it's not large scale, and you have to look for it. Like
there's nowhere local that's making cereal.
There's a local place that makes flour and stuff, though, and mills flour and oats.
Yeah, artisanal flour.
Yeah.
Maybe we could hit up the Amish for some cereal. We get a lot of Amish around here.
Yeah.
You don't want to get in business with the Amish.
There's a great Amish grocery store near my mom I like to go to.
Speaking of people you don't want to go into business with.
Sony PlayStation executive fired after amateur, probably can't say that word.
Nope, can't say that word.
Amateur hunter sting video posted online.
You should read these videos because this is going to be a new thing, especially if we're all trapped inside for another year. This is how we entertain ourselves. It's going to be incredible.
So this happened a while back, but here's the crazy thing. The same exact headline, except swap Sony with NVIDIA, played out a week later. I didn't put it in here, but one of the big NVIDIA top guys also gone for this very same reason.
Yeah. And it happened forever ago. They tried to meet underage people online, apparently, and there's video, and there's documentation, and there's text, and there's just all kinds of stuff, and now it's gone. So, I don't know.
There is no way that you could misconstrue what happened in those text messages as he knew exactly what he was doing.
Yeah.
Horrifying. But also, like, a little bit vigilante justice, so that part is not palatable, but at the same time, it's like...
he's gone, but it's also like, that shouldn't have happened at all.
There are whole YouTube channels that only do this.
And then I'm thinking about Assange from yesterday's news. And it's like, wait a minute.
They did use that against him, didn't they? And I'm not saying he did it. I'm saying they probably concocted that type of thing. And they definitely did it with the girl.
Yeah. So...
You think they did that to this guy? I think this guy was guilty.
Yeah, it seemed the text messages are unsettling to the point that like you have trouble digesting food after that. Your body's just like, what is this?
I didn't read them.
You probably better off not.
Yeah. Listen, I get enough darkness by reading all the other news stories. I didn't need to seek out all the letters.
You're probably also better off not using Windows 11.
Oh, I got switched to this week. Microsoft backtracks on Windows 11's controversial default browser changes.
Yeah, so a bunch of people made a bunch of videos that were like, how is this not antitrust? And Microsoft said, that we probably should change that.
I'm amazed that they didn't wait until they got a lawsuit. Like, they're like, I guess we'll change it now.
There was documentation to refer back to in the eventual lawsuit. It's like, people were noticing this in 2005. Why did it take you 7 years to change this? It's, well, we just got a little excited about how good Edge is. Yeah, so this will make it easier to switch to Firefox or Chrome or Opera or Brave or whatever else for common things that the operating system does that need a web browser.
They'll find another way to nag you.
Yes.
Yeah.
They still have all the ads in the start menu and all the other stuff that's basically fraud. So, we'll see. It's fun. Speaking of basically fraud.
Elon Musk says the U.S. should get rid of all government subsidies.
When they asked him about subsidies for EVs, he doubled down. I was like, yeah, Tesla doesn't get any subsidies anymore. We wouldn't want our competition to have subsidies.
Now that I've used the ladder to climb up to this
Exactly.
cliff, I want to pull it up after me. That's what that means.
Exactly. He can't get them anymore. So obviously, and I agree with him. We should end them all, but he should pay back everything that he got.
Like, I read this article and I was so mad, and I had that same thought of like, how is this man still alive? Like, I'm not saying anyone should do anything. I wouldn't do anything to him, but like,
What was the
how
guy's
do you
name?
make statements like this and then expect to just like not have any consequences for it?
What was the guy's name from Fifth Element? Was it Zorn? His new haircut looks like Zorn.
Oh yeah, he's got like the
yeah.
Oh, the Gary
not a good
Oldman
look.
character?
Yeah. It's just like,
yeah, he's got the ascot on too, and I'm like, could you be any more douchey? Like,
Well, I think that's for facial covering, Krista.
speaking of just distasteful things,
Ubisoft's NFT announcement gets more than 95% dislikes on YouTube.
you mostly can't see that anymore, but there are a few places you can still see the dislikes. And so this was Ubisoft Quartz, and they're saying, "Hey, we're gonna do the NFT thing," and people did not like that.
No,
They've since pulled the announcement. Actually, they unlisted the video.
But they're still doing it.
Kind of weird the way they're doing it, because they call them drops, and I don't think you necessarily get the NFTs just for playing the game. You have to be involved in the event as well.
That's Twitch does that with the Twitch drops. It's always telling me, like, I get the little notification. It's like, do you want drops? Drops for Overwatch? And I'm like, I don't care about skins. So.
That's going to be like an esports resume thing. It's like, oh yes, I've got the esports PUBG mode. Look, I've got this card and this card and this card, and I participated in this event and this card and this other thing. And it becomes like a resume. It's like, yes, we need an esports person that was present for all of these events, and you just have that.
Not even present, but it's that how many drops did you sell on your stream?
But they
And
also,
that's how you prove your track record.
the genius thing they did here is that these things have a chain of custody, and everybody's name gets engraved on it in game. So think about these e-girls. When they get a hold of an NFT and they mint it for the first time, it's only belong to them. What are people going to pay for that?
NFT bathwater. Oh yeah.
Exactly.
I mean, not even just e-girl, but just like big streamers like Lyric or something. Ooh, Moon owned this.
You know what's going to be crazy? And this is like so dark and so horrible, and anthropologists are going to crucify us for this, but they're going to have like a piece of armor from a game that's the lower body armor for a woman. And it's going to like, oh, I can buy her panties.
NFT. It's just, and they're wearing that in PUBG. Speaking of
Visa launches crypto consulting services and push for mainstream adoption.
remember when they would cancel your card if you bought crypto on Coinbase?
They've changed their mind.
We want to get in on that now.
Remember when they would shut down your bank account by tattling on you to Fifth Third or the other national banks? It's like, no, they're into crypto, and it's like, oh, I'm sorry, we've closed your account because Jamie Dimon and the others were like, no.
It has happened very rapidly, but everybody in big business is all of a sudden pro Bitcoin. All of a sudden, I mean, it's just, I don't know what happened. A memo, I guess.
Are they worried about the state of the U.S. dollar?
The inflation numbers came out. Oh boy, float plane too hot for
Too hot for YouTube.
This is a happy conclusion to something we covered a few times in the ongoing spat between Google and Roku.
Roku, Google settle messy battle over YouTube distribution.
So Roku kind of said, hey, Google is asking us to do things that they're not allowed by law to ask us to do. And Google said, no, they're not doing that. And then Roku leaked an email, and now we have this.
Seems like Roku pretty much got the upper hand here. Didn't you get that impression? They didn't lay it out, but it seemed like basically Google was like, yeah, we can't get away with that.
Yeah. It seemed like that Roku went to a Congress critter and said, hypothetically, we're not saying that Google's doing this, but hypothetically, if they were doing this and we had proof of it, would that be crazy? And like, Rosenworcel or Lena Khan was like, yes, I need that. Give me that. And so then they went back to Google and said, now will you negotiate? And then we have this.
But they still should have done it.
Yeah. Fun times. I wonder if this has anything to do with the recent adoption of cryptocurrency. I can't imagine how they would be connected.
Australian man Craig Wright wins U.S. court battle for Bitcoin fortune worth billions.
This is in The Guardian. I'm surprised that the case went this way. He still hasn't demonstrated that he has any access to the Bitcoin in question. He basically won this case, but he does have to award $100 million to a joint think tank that belonged to David Kleiman, who is deceased.
I saw this headline from both angles. I saw it as people saying he won, like this is, and I saw it as people saying he lost $100 million.
Yeah, but $100 million out of out of 50 billion, is that really a loss?
I mean, I would pay it.
Yeah, it's like this is going to go away forever and I don't have to worry about 25 billion being lost.
I was just going to give that to my cats anyway.
There's going to be like the crazy cat lady in the Aristocats. She leaves her fortune to her cats and her butler gets mad.
Think about how many cats you could support with $50 billion.
Exactly two.
Speaking of things that have a moral obligation.
Meta has a moral obligation to make its mental health research transparent, scientists say. This was quite a few scientists, right, who signed this?
At first, the way that I understood the situation, I didn't agree with this because it's like, oh, it's a company that did some internal research. They're not under any obligation to do anything. But the article talks about some of the stuff that they uncovered in researching this and the analytics activity that they have from people that they knew were kids and underage that were using the platform and how they react and like the whole endorphin button thing. And it's like, oh, we probably should actually disclose some of this because we otherwise don't have access to this kind of data to make any kind of determination.
I actually do agree with them. They shouldn't be compelled for this. I mean, they should from a, human rights standpoint, but they shouldn't be compelled to. But another thing to consider is remember all those researchers who have set up really good research on Facebook and been shut down because it might reveal some of this.
Yeah, that's true. So, yeah, I like you, I think I was initially like, no, they shouldn't. But because this is the only source of this kind of information and this is the only kind of thing like this that exists, we probably do need to know.
Yeah, either open it up to all researchers or release your own data.
Yeah.
But they can't because what they found, is devastating.
It's terrible. Yeah.
So very, very devastating. I saw this somewhere else and somebody in the comments had linked to a thing with Twitter. And Twitter had figured out that on the initial page load, if you display the number of messages and like notifications immediately, that wasn't as endorphin producing as displaying no notifications and then a second or two later having that pop up asynchronously. Like
because you think they're new.
Yes. And so it's like,
look, something came up.
That little tiny decision was done deliberately. What's going on, over in Zuckerland?
That's kind of brilliant. Well, like it's horrible, but that's brilliant.
Remember last week the Instagram thing where they just added the animations?
Yeah.
Yeah.
That their research showed that would be a huge gain in terms of people's mindsets, the manipulation.
Do you think they'll add parental controls that are like, hey, turn off the manipulation stuff for my kids?
Oh, well.
No.
Instagram.
The parental controls are only take a break, right?
Yeah. Well, that's what we were getting ready to do this story. Instagram to introduce parental control features next year.
Yeah, it's just you can only use Facebook for 5 minutes at a time, or
yeah,
Instagram
there's like
for
different
5 minutes.
increments, and then it'll pop up and remind you, hey, you've been scrolling a while.
Hey, your 5 minutes with Sniper Wolf is over.
Touch some grass, nerd. That's what that should say.
That's this CNN business this is a giant fail because there's other stuff happening.
Right-wing activists are openly weaponizing Twitter's new private media policy.
That's a picture of Jack Dorsey. He's out.
He's not even there anymore. It's lazy.
He's only being consulted, and one gets the impression that he was against this policy for these reasons. But yeah, Twitter's
this
just saying,
policy is ridiculous. Yeah. Like they are literally saying in this article, without saying it in so many words, CNN, they're good at spinning it. They're saying, hey, we created this to help us, not to help you. You're not allowed to use this. Because it was supposed to be for people who didn't want to show up in memes or whatever, right? So people are like, well, hey, you're outing people for not wearing masks. You're outing people for showing up to these events and stuff. I don't want to be on that. It's my face. I don't want it. Why would it not apply?
And then CNN is mad that their media is being taken down for those reasons.
Yeah.
Yeah, CNN's like, no, this doesn't count. This is for us. This is not for you. You don't belong on Twitter.
We were a journalist documenting the thing. That's different than you showing up with your camera and just taking pictures. And it's like,
Well,
disagree.
they're arguing not even just for themselves. They're arguing for all those other, because those little Twitter feeds and stuff, they're not, mainstream media.
It should be all or none. Like, either
Yeah.
everyone can or no one can use it.
And what
Well,
other
I think they are somewhat applying it across the board, which is what CNN's upset about.
and what other evidence do we have that there's some manipulation going on? That's like, no, you must get your information from an approved source, not from randos. Well, we have this.
Twitter suspends account providing. I actually don't know how to pronounce her name.
That's probably
was
good
lame.
for the algorithm.
Yeah. Trial updates.
That GM trial updates, not the GM that you're thinking of. The flight, tattoo
General
island.
molesters.
Yeah.
Yeah, so they've it was an account that was just providing trial updates that had 500,000 followers, and Twitter was like, nope, we want no part of this, which is crazy.
Now, they said it was platform manipulation and spam. How exactly could you twist that into those offenses?
Disturbing.
And that Twitter account had a massive following. The level of engagement was so high that that's what triggered the bots to be like, this has to be spam. There's no way they're getting this real engagement. But no, it was all real.
And they didn't put it back at all.
No.
And they also failed. Like there's this courtroom sketch thing. It's like, oh, what's going on at the trial? I think there was another one that was her sketching the courtroom sketch person, which you got to figure is some kind of like psychological thing.
Inception.
Yeah, it was like this courtroom sketch person was sketching her, sketching them, which is crazy.
I get the impression that she's a fairly intelligent woman, wouldn't you say?
Yeah,
I think she knows what's about to happen. She's just having what fun she can because it's over for her.
yeah. Disturbing. Definitely disturbing. This is also another fun one.
Oh, not really fun. Sad. Debt collectors can now text, email, and DM you on social media. Slide into your DMs.
What happens when it's a case of mistaken identity? Because
Yeah.
I have people that are calling a phone number that I've had for years and years and years that are trying very hard to get a hold of somebody, and I've told everybody that calls, like, this is not
Not
the
who you
wrong
think it
number,
is,
it's not
yeah.
who you think it is. They don't care.
I think it's by design because it does still count as them contacting you, even if you don't respond.
What if you leave them on red?
I mean, I
Doesn't
won't-
matter. In
I'll-
court, they could make a point. They're like, no, we tried. Here's the proof. And it still counts against you.
Scary. Really, really scary.
Yeah,
I don't-
because, I do have a Facebook account just for testing stuff. What if somebody tried to contact me on there? I was like, oh, no, that counts. I haven't logged into it in like 4 years.
It's that demand for immediacy. Like, I need you to look at this and respond to it now. I hate that.
yeah. Scary.
Yeah. Especially, for debt collection, too.
Really scary. I don't have a good lead-in for the next story, but
No. I'm not sure how to pronounce this word either.
Rohingya.
Rohingya refugees sue Facebook for $150 billion, alleging it helped perpetuate genocide in Myanmar.
And this is from the Washington Post, so it'll be interesting to see how this case proceeds.
We also have to remember that the government is the one who committed this genocide. So they are not going to cooperate with anything here.
No.
No.
I don't know. It's definitely blaming the gun, right? I mean, Facebook is awful, and it did probably lead to a lot of deaths here. But can we hold them accountable?
For how someone
Isn't
else
that
used
the whole
it.
230 thing?
Yeah.
Do we need the statistics on and the analytics on the like mental health thing from 3 stories ago about how likely we knew they would push the button. Oh, okay. We should have taken steps to ensure that there wasn't this horrible thing happening. There were death
A lot to
groups.
worry about. You think about the software that you've written, and how much how much time did you spend thinking about Myanmar when you were building that software?
Well, I was thinking more about the Wikimedia Foundation offering, it's like, here, download and start your own wiki. And then it's a wiki of people to execute. And it's like, ooh, is Wikimedia responsible for this? No, probably not. But then if they make, a spin-off version that has lots of features that make it really easy to make a list of people that have to be dealt with, then maybe they might be a little bit culpable. I don't know.
Who gets to decide, though? That's such a
Yeah.
nasty, nasty situation that's being created there. I think we do have to find the answer at some point.
Speaking of nasty situations that are being created,
Meta's WhatsApp will allow crypto payments through Novi wallet in US.
that doesn't sound like the thing that Zuckerberg came up with. And then you read the description, and it's like, that's the thing Zuckerberg came up with.
The Zuck.
Isn't it? What was that called? What was that cryptocurrency called?
DM? Is that what you're talking about?
Diem, yeah. It's like, this sounds exactly like Diem.
No, it's totally different. Just like Meta is totally different.
I
Totally.
think Novi or Navi or whatever it's a separate company, isn't it?
Yeah, but, it's going to be crypto payments.
But it's
Oh no,
separate,
I'm not
so if
arguing with
something's
you. I
wrong
mean,
with
they
it,
definitely are.
they can just shut it
They
down.
tried to sneak it in and they were smacked back, and it's been long enough that now those tendrils are slipping back under the door.
Speaking of tendrils and a lack of legs,
Meta opens up access to its VR social platform, Horizon Worlds.
look,
Oh yeah, they have no legs.
they're just disembodied torsos. What if you want squid, your lower half to be a squid? That
I
would
wonder
be pretty
why
fun.
they did that. Was
DLC.
there? I bet the movement with the legs was too much. They were like, it's not really worth it. I guess people sit at their desks too. I guess.
Or, Krista, maybe the removal of the legs is to avoid the awkwardness of genitals.
We can't have those in the metaverse. Not allowed.
It doesn't exist.
Oh, Lord.
Is anyone excited about that? Is anyone like, wow, I'm so excited to try that out.
No.
I haven't.
Or
heard
we don't have
anything.
VR.
Yeah.
Doesn't matter. Second Life was a thing without VR, and people really like it still. But, yeah.
I'm having enough trouble with my first life.
Yeah. I don't want a second VR one.
What with quarantining with the cats and all, it's just we're driving everybody else insane. Speaking of insanity,
Twitter acquires Quill, a would-be Slack rival. Team will work on DMs as Quill shuts down.
so the headline is Quill shut down, but Twitter's headline was, we're immediately rolling all of the Quill features into Twitter over the next 6 months. But over the next 6 months.
Yeah, they basically just consumed it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But we definitely have to murder it and shut it down in order to consume it. We can't consume it whole. People can't continue to use it while we consume it because it would grow to unstoppable proportions.
I love this next story. It's fantastic. Magic Dirt. How the internet fueled and defeated the thing's weirdest MLM.
MLM is multi-level marketing. This is somebody selling Canadian peat bog dirt that had been dried. You can eat it, you can drink it, you can put it on your face, and
It's a miracle cure for everything and nothing at the same time.
apparently make a lot of money on it.
And it's a little over
Look at these
$25 an ounce.
It was very expensive. Why?
The crazy
Why?
thing is the pictures and the videos of people drinking it.
Yeah, there was a story about a woman who drank it, and she was like, I just started feeling really bad, and like my stomach hurt all the time. I had to go to the ER, and I was like, it couldn't be the dirt because the dirt's supposed to be good for your gut. And I was like, I don't think so. But it's crazy how trends like that go around. Do you ever think about that, Ryan? Because you're kind of into like some of the alternative health stuff. Do you ever think, oh crap, I could be the person drinking the dirt?
No, because the way that I do it is that I simply go against what the mainstream tells me. And the mainstream has never spoken out against dirt. So I assume that dirt is also not useful.
Speaking of, making some money with this one weird trick.
Ocala?
I think it's Ocala.
Ocala residents
Ocala.
face
Is it Ocala?
Yeah.
6 Ocala residents face charges for defrauding a bank after flaunting the crime online.
So this is just check kiting taken to the next level. With 5 levels of check kiting, the bank had a little trouble keeping up with that, and they were able to cash checks that ultimately wouldn't clear, because it was like you deposit a check that's against another account that also had a check deposited that was against another account, and so on and so forth. and they were able to extract real cash from all of the checks that didn't clear.
Krista, if this were too hot for YouTube, available soon on Floatplane and Patreon, I would ask you to read the names. But since it's not, I won't do that.
I never understood this because I see this a lot where people will go and like show off their cash and stuff, and it's like, why? Even if you got it honestly,
$22,000.
even if you got it honestly, that's just asking to be robbed.
They were all arrested.
But that was 22 split among them, right? And there's 6 or 7 of them, so it wasn't even that much.
5, yeah. About $4,000 each. They're definitely going to incur more than $4,000 costs, $4,000 in costs to the taxpayers, just in booking and court appointed lawyer, and going through that whole process.
But only because they're in Florida. Stupid to do this in Florida, right? You should have done it in California or Washington.
And finally, our last story, which is amazing, and I'm slightly worried about, because you could search and replace Facebook for a tube that is all about you.
Also, whatsupwiththat.com, I realize, is not a great URL, but surprisingly, the mainstream media didn't touch this, and there is an actual court document that you can go read.
Yes, there's an actual court PDF here. If you doubt this, you can go look at the PDF that's filing. We don't have free Pacer yet. I have a feeling that free Pacer is going to change this show a lot, because it's like, look,
we can just read it ourselves.
Here's the document. But the headline.
Bombshell. In court filing, Facebook admits fact checks are nothing more than opinion. Which, how could they ever not be?
Yeah, so the actual, there's the filing. Like, look, there you go, 32 pages of filing. And the actual quote is Stossel's claims focus on the fact check articles written by Climate Feedback, not the labels affixed through the Facebook platform. The labels themselves are neither false nor defamatory. To the contrary, they constitute protected opinion. So this is basically saying, hey, if you're representing this as fact, not opinion, then it could be liable if it's not actually true. And that's happened. We recently had the case where the dude was found guilty on a bunch of stuff. That's also on the Too Hot for YouTube thing on Floatplane that's coming. And if you said that in the past on this platform or others, it was like, nope, bananation, community strike. I don't even know if I can say that. But that's a conversation for another day.
Well, if you were to like doggedly argue these points on Facebook, you would get banned for sure.
Yes. And yet, what do we got Friday?
Nonsense. We've already done Roblox. We had that weird uncanny one.
Security
Security and nonsense. Nice. So we'll see you Friday?
Yep.